Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Guys, welcome back to our podcast episode 41 with Nannette. One of a good friend of mine, one of a good community partner, someone that who leads a lot of initiative in the community. And I would love to welcome her to this podcast so you guys can know who she is and, learn from her and, enjoy the podcast. Nannette, welcome. Tell us a little bit about you. Who's Nannette? What you are doing?
Hey, my name is Nannette, Nannette Bertram Dix. I am a program manager with the Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods.
Awesome. And tell us what does Office of Safe and Healthy Neighborhood does because people hear about it. Give us a little bit insight of this office.
So, for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods was really formed because of an incident that happened in Louisville a few years back where they had a double homicide right in the community. So two young men were engaged in gun violence and they shot each other. And then while the police was there and the newscasters was there really, to talk about that story, the two females that were associated with the young men got into an argument and gunfire happened live on TV. Wow. So when that happened, it really impacted the community. And so at the time, Mayor Fisher was in office and they were like, we need to do something about that. So the Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods was formed, and we work with the most high-risk youth and their families that are involved in some kind of violence. They were perpetrators of, or violence was perpetrated on them. Okay. So we just work and do a lot of things, and we're really looking into the mental health, what's the drivers of violence, and like social determinants of health and different things like that. So that's what our office is about.
Wow, that's awesome. And what are the things that our listeners and viewers would love to learn from you? Things that we don't know about you, Nannette. Give us a little bit about that.
Oh, well, personally or professionally?
Professionally and personally. Okay, you can touch one each. Yeah.
Okay, personally, I am the grandmother of Caden Magwood, who is right now deciding on which college he's going to go to. He is a superior basketball player, and he's getting ready to graduate this year, and several D1 schools are looking at him. So, wow. And I know one day that my young grandson will be on the court of some NBA team.
Wow.
Yes, that's how good he is.
Yes, we will pray for him too to be there, and we will tell him to keep going. Your dreams are always going to be life if you keep going, right?
Yeah, so I think really honestly, I've been blessed with a wonderful family. I have 6 kids, and they are a blessing to me, and 14 grandkids. So, wow, yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah, I don't see you being a grandma, so you are.
Yes, I am. Several times over.
Awesome, great. And Nannette, Louisville is a welcoming city. They said on JCPS last week was JCPS multilingual learners can have their own district school. Mm-hmm. And they will be the 3rd biggest district in the state of Kentucky if they become their own. There's like 20,000 multilingual learners, and there's a lot who are listening to our podcast. So when it comes to your office, like one thing we did together, the TRC is partnering with Somali community, which is a lot of our community are part of benefiting this project. Tell us a little bit about the TRC.
TRC stands for Trauma Resilient Communities, and it was formed with $5 million grant we got from SAMHSA. Mm-hmm. And so that's how it came about. And also we got some ARP money, and a lot of the things that we relate to TRC has been, really funded by the federal government. This time around, we wrote another grant, and we got a $4 million grant, which you are, Somalia of Louisville's under. And really, TRC is really focused on making sure that we're not lumping people in a bucket.
Correct.
And because when we talk about BIPOC, and we always say BIPOC, we lump everybody together. And I think everybody has their uniqueness when it comes to trauma, dealing with trauma, how you deal with trauma culturally, how you deal with trauma individually, and systematically. So we try not to put everybody in a box.
Correct.
So even though, and I don't, y'all just really understand this, I don't speak Spanish, I don't speak any language but English. I wish I did. But because I learned that in school doesn't mean I really know their culture.
Right.
So you can learn a language and then I can probably help you and talk to you. But if I'm not culturally connected, then that's another thing. So what we try to do is go to the folks like Somali
Community,
of
yeah.
Louisville and stuff like that to really say, hey, we will love to work with, you know, your community, but we need people from their community that can lend a voice that knows about their community. I don't want to pretend I know anything about the Somali community because I do not. I learned from through you, vicariously through you.
Right.
But yet and still we go straight to the folks. So if we're working with the Latinx community, we're making sure that we're working with people from that community.
Yes, correct. And I'm a big believer of the best way to solve grant solution is by the people that already experience this, though who know it. I can speak about my community, and you know, and I know what are the inside issues and what is the outside issues. I've been there, and you know, thank you for giving us that opportunity, being partnership, and you also believe in us. You know, that's really amazed. You know how the trust and belief is happening, and that's how we reach out to 3,000 people last year about mental health, because our community was stigmatized. We didn't even want to talk about mental health, but now we're in a stage of people coming to us and finding help with therapists. We need resources. I mean, I'm so amazed that I never thought we'll be in this situation where we're looking for treatment when we were 2 years ago. Never want to talk about this. Like, I'm not crazy, but it's because of the education workshops we have done with you through that, you know, partnership. But and I know we have different types of trauma. Like I have a trauma of war trauma, a civil war trauma. I'm a child of civil war, and I seen it. You know how it's been. I was 2 years old when the civil war happened. I experienced the damage it does to our community. I experienced the damage it done to my state, my country, and we still have to heal that, right? Nannette, you are a board certified. You are a social worker. You know, you have masters. You are well educated. You know, ambassador in the community. So, what would you advise us when it comes to mental health in your learning, in your experiences? How can we leverage these resources and help our community?
So the first and foremost, you said it, Farhan, about education. Education is key.
Yes.
And my grandfather always said, education is power. Something no one could take from you when you educate your mind. And a lot of times when you talk about stigma, and I think you talked about stigma a little bit of also, that's just traits that we learn. And a lot of that stigma and a lot of that keep your mouth shut, like in the African American community, you know, we don't tell, we don't like snitches, we don't like this, and it's to the detriment of ourselves sometimes. But we did that because you have to know the historicalness of reason why people do what they do. Because back in the day when they used to have lynch mobs come out, we couldn't tell them that uncle was in there because they were looking for a black man. It didn't care what black man, they were looking for a black man. Okay. So if we hid uncle because they were on the rampage, then we could not tell. So we historically learned how to don't tell. What goes on at home stays at home. Oh. And what we do now is really with that education piece, that trauma-informed care. I train a lot on trauma-informed care, changing how we talk to people, changing from like what's wrong with you. Yes. Like you said, you were a child of Civil War. Yes. So that could be meaning that, you know, something can trigger you and we don't know, and your behaviors can go up because a lot of times when we look at trauma, it's in the way we behave, how we react to things. We could be hyper vigilant. We can have sleep deprivation. It's a lot of things that can go with dealing with trauma. But if I did not know Farhan, if I did not understand that Farhan came with some trauma, that he was a child of Civil War, this was happening to him. Only what I see is your behavior.
Correct.
And I think sometimes when we look through, I know that if we look through the world through a trauma-informed lens, then it can make it better for everybody. Because I could say, okay, you know, if I see you, you know, some trauma symptoms may be coming out, then I can talk to you and say, hey, what has happened to make you feel the way that you feel right now? Because even though it happened, you know, in your home country, something could trigger you here.
Yes. Yes, it
is. And you have to understand that. And if you look through the world through a trauma-informed lens, that's a better way of looking at things and a better way of treating people. and that lessens the stigma around when we talk about, mental health. I try to call it trauma help now.
Trauma help, okay.
Instead of mental health, because you still have it. I'm not crazy, like you
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
It's not saying you're crazy, but this world can make you feel loopy sometimes.
Yes.
And there's so much stuff that goes on, with you. I know I have a little cousin, and I always talk about him that, he would be on Facebook and he'll say, none of one of my friends is dead. And 1 month he had like a couple of friends that died.
Wow.
And I know we had, people, relatives that had died in our family. And I'm like, how are you handling all this? I'm okay, cuz. Okay, cuz. And I'm like, but you're telling us that you're not okay because you sent it in the Facebook. This person died, that person died. Do you need to talk about how you really feel? And I think a lot of times, especially for men, we tell them you're the leaders of the family. You have to be hard.
Yes, like
you can't show that because that's weak. No, that's not weak. It's sort of like cleansing yourself from toxins. If treat mental health or trauma health as you do self-care, if you go get your hair cut,
yes,
as you go get a pedicure or manicure, that's self-care. That is just like if you like massages, if you like once a month go get a deep tissue massage. Treat that like that we're massaging your trauma out of your body, because what it can do, it can hold into your body and it can cause other health issues.
Wow.
So we're trying to cleanse that. So think about, talking to Farhan and his group about cleansing yourself of toxins that are in your body.
The mosque. I pray 5 times a day.
Yeah.
And I'm a Muslim. Like this morning, 5 o'clock, I was in a mosque. That's how I start my day, praying to God. And it helps me get who I am. But as you say, I love, massage. I go once a month. And, you took out the fatigueness.
Yeah.
It's like you relax, you're a new person.
Yeah. You come out, I'm like,
and you sleep good. And I'm like, wow, I feel alive again.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, that's just also, I thought it was just like, for me, it was just a gift to myself. But it's also part of my trauma, right? It helps me, cleans me out.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And what are the things, other self-care things to do? Like you said, haircut, going, eating right, or maybe doing a lot of good things. What are you suggesting on this? I have a lot of moms who have a lot of kids. What do you think the self-care will be?
And I know, because I had 6 kids, so
give us that.
I know a mom would have a lot of kids, and and sometimes it's, as mothers, we feel like we can't be selfish. It has to be like, we know how to eat, lukewarm food, because by the time we feed all our family members, by the time we get to our plate, it's lukewarm. Yeah. So, and we are always okay to make sure my husband's doing good, make sure my kids are doing good, but we put ourselves sometimes on the back burner, and because we feel like it's selfish not to do so.
Oh, yes.
It's not selfish. It's not selfish to just take a day for yourself. To take a day and say, hey, today or for this block of time, I'm going to put the kids to bed at this time. From this time to this time, for even if it's for an hour, it's going to be me. And let people know in your household that from this time to this time, it's me time.
It's you time.
Do not contact me. Do not ask me for anything unless you're bleeding. And if you're bleeding, if it's just a Band-Aid bleed, put a Band-Aid on it. It has to be, you need to call 911 kind of bleeding. Yeah. But, and then you just talk to your partner. Say, I need this time. And then not only this time for me, but this time for us. Because mommy and daddy both have to be okay. But if you're a single parent or whatever, you need the time. You need that time to regenerate. It's sort of like you have a cell phone, right? And when that it goes to yellow, and then you start looking for your plug.
Yeah.
Where's the plug? Because that pretty soon it's going to go to red, and once it goes to red, it goes to black.
Correct.
So we start looking for the plug. We need to plug ourselves up in.
Wow,
regenerate.
That's a good example.
So give yourself an hour. If that's all you got, it's an hour. If you only got 15 minutes to do some breathing, some stuff. If you want to pray, whatever you need to do for yourself, just for you, that gift to you. Give yourself a gift, and you'll start feeling better.
Wow, that's awesome. And use that advice from someone who is certified, well educated about this field of trauma and mental health. And this has been happening for the last 12 months. Maybe you can help me give advice to our community. we have iPhones. We use social media a lot. There is you know what's happening in Palestine and Israel is affecting our community because we've seen all these dead bodies, all this the war, and this war is triggering our community because most people who are watching this, they've been in a civil war. They've seen the
Yeah.
blood and all that, and now they've seen it on their phone. And I've seen a lot of people telling me they're not okay. So, what are you thinking on your aspect of your education because you're well educated on this field? So, is that triggering of their traumas because of what they see right now? And how can we inform that?
So I think the best way is to talk about what you're feeling
Talk about your
and normalize what you're feeling because a lot of people will shut down.
Yeah, they're just shutting down.
And I'll give you a little story. So
Okay.
So a few years back, I think it's like maybe 4 years back or more, they had the shooting at Kroger. Remember the man came in and Breckenridge, and he shot 2 black folks in there, and he was there to shoot black folks. So when Tops happened, and that was all the way in Buffalo, New York, when they went and when the young man went in, and I saw the video of him, and somebody sent it to me on my phone.
Just shooting.
Of just shooting the young lady come out of her car. She was walking up into the store, pop, and she fell, and then some more people, and then you saw him meticulously go through the store shooting people,
black people
of color.
Yes.
And so I was in Menards with my 2 of my grandkids, and this young man ran straight past me, and I was like, all of a sudden, I was just scared, and I was almost getting ready to cry. And I'm a therapist by trade and all that, but that vicarious trauma, even though it's not direct trauma, because of the color of our skin. Correct. Because we can't change that, because where we are, because of the way of the world and all of the trauma that's going on and targeted trauma, targeted episodes. It scared me. And I was like, and it scared me because I had my 2 granddaughters in there, and I was like looking for places for me to hide them and tell them, if something happens, I'm gonna hide you. Do not run after Granny, because then I was gonna be the sacrifice. He gets me so they can live.
Wow.
So all of that stuff was running through my head. So imagine, and that's just me living through vicarious trauma, of trauma that really didn't impact me personally, but it impacted me secondarily.
Wow.
You guys are living through trauma that impacted you.
Yes.
And now, although the stuff that's what is going on over the other side of the world,
Middle East,
it's still impacting you because it can open up and it can play back memories of what really happened. So what I would say is really have group talks, and really facilitate group talks and what you feel. And then also monitor the time that you are on, social media.
Yes,
Maybe you don't need to look at that.
Yes.
You're not strong enough to. And we always say you need to be strong enough to be able to take that. And then, folks like you could break it down.
Correct.
Break it down and say, okay, yeah, this is happening over here, and this is, and it's hard because, like you had said before, that some of your youth and stuff like that, especially in schools and your mosques and stuff like that, we're getting threats because of that.
Yes.
And that's just the world and the climate we live in. It's not saying it's right, but we have to talk and be realistic about what the climate is like here, especially it's a political time now.
Right, it is.
And so all of that is a lot of that is politically driven. That doesn't even have anything to do with us, but it impacts us because it's impacting the people that we love.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, I've seen 2 of my students of after school program. They're in elementary, 5th grade, and they told me that they've been called daddy eating dogs. And this is not recently, and I felt, this is my students. I worked with them for a couple of years, and him being taught that in school by other kids, they hear from somewhere, right?
Yeah, they're hearing from the adults. Are they hearing? Are they? And you have to think about, they don't, and today, you don't even really, your mom and them, daddy and them don't even have to say it to you. If you're on social media, if you're on YouTube, you hearing all their rhetoric. You hearing, I don't want to say names, but we know who I'm talking about. Yeah. You hear him saying that, spruiling that, and saying, the immigrants, Haitians, and different, are people that look like us. Yeah. Are eating pets and stuff like that. Look out for your pets and all that stuff. And all that, kids take that. and kids spew that to other folks and to other kids. It's any kind of way.
Yes.
I remember when I was in school. Because my skin is more fair, and they used to call me a little yellow banana. Or because my hair was long, they'll pull it. All those things that you wonder, why do you hate me?
Yeah.
Why do you feel like I'm different? Because I'm different. I'm not different. We're all one. But even within our own race, we can hate each other because of, it's better to dislike you than dislike myself. Or sometimes it is, I hate myself so much because society has made me hate me.
Wow.
That I hate anything that look like me. And you get that too. But I think what we can do in this instance is limit the time you're on.
Time you're on, yeah.
And if you see it and you know you're not ready for it, turn it.
Yeah, and I mean nowadays is because we have a group talk every Sunday with the youth, and they're mentioning that they really sad, they mad. Most of my youth now are really I think it boosts them that they're Muslim also, they are brown, they've been targeted by bombs that that we American funding, and they're like, how this is affecting them, and most of you young kids I talk to, I'm like, listen, there's not a lot we can do on this, but keep that in faith. God is in control, because we use faith.
Yes.
Trauma is helping them with, God is in charge. He knows what's happening. He's the one who's everybody who's gonna do wrong on somebody, God will punish them in the future. So he knows he can stop all this, but it's just a test to humanity. It's a test to the leaders of the world to stop, wars. And this is for us is just to be, you're right, say it triggering us. It triggering a lot of adults that I work with, and we'll need to talk about it more. I think they keep it inside. That's why it's sad.
And I understand that because for us African Americans, we just felt like, okay, Obama was the president, and things are going to be different. Things are going to be different. We're going to be seen as human, not subhuman. We're going to be, and you think about, you lived in this country and they'll tell you to go back home. Go back. Wow. This is home. I've never been nowhere else. Right. This is home. What are you talking about? Go back to, back into, Crescent Hill where I was raised up at. Are you telling me to go back there? What is home? When we all come from somewhere.
Yes, we all come from
this
somewhere.
Whole country is built on people that came over here some kind of way.
Yeah,
plane, boat, whatever.
Yes.
We came, when first it was boats, and then it's planes when we still have planes. But everybody our ancestors came from somewhere. Correct. Some people came, they didn't want to come. We didn't have no intentions of coming.
No choices.
No choices at all. But the thing is we just have to understand, and I think that's when we lean on our faith more, because and even though we may, our faith, all of us believe in a higher power, just lean on that higher power and pray, because this world is getting crazy.
Yeah, it's getting crazy.
It's getting crazy, but also I think it's test in this crazy.
Yes, test, yeah.
And people are trying to push you away from where you need to be. And I always say, stay still.
Stay still. I agree with you. Stay still. That's why we are here. That's why I'm here every day. That's why you are here, Nannette. There's people who are still there, still advocating and being there. But also, Nannette, I have a question. People are even asking me a lot of time in the communities. Does this mental health helping, like going to therapy, taking care of your self-care, does it end, or this is just part of our normal life?
I think it's, do you stop cutting your hair?
No.
Do you stop brushing your teeth? Do you stop doing anything like that? I mean, really, honestly, in this world right now,
yes,
it's so helpful. But I'm not saying you have to go in and see a clinician and sit there and talk to a clinician. But it's other ways of healing yourself. Okay. Like you said, you pray.
Yeah, I pray 5 times a day, every morning.
Pray. That could be a way of healing yourself, taking it to the Lord.
Yes.
But the Lord says that, He gave you people down here, servants down here, soldiers down here, to be able to talk to, because, He he can't do I mean, he could do all things, but he gave people to help him out.
Yes.
So, meaning that if you need to see somebody, I think you really need to see a therapist if it's it's impacting your life.
Correct.
Meaning that, is it something that, okay, I can talk to my friend about and I feel better, or is this stuff impacting my life? Like maybe I'm not getting out of bed no more. I'm angry. It's I'm not working anymore, because sometimes things can make where it just shuts down your life.
Yes.
And that's when you need that intervention. That's when you need some to really go and talk to somebody.
Right.
Sometimes it could be medicational. Maybe you need to take some meds, because a lot of, especially if you're talking about compound trauma, and a lot of the stuff that you talked about today could be compound trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Just coming from a place where they had civil war, coming to a new country, learning languages, learning to maneuver in this in this new world,
system,
but then seeing things that's happening to people that look like you, and then you feeling bad, because it really, even though it's over in the Middle East, it's reverberating over here, because now people are associating you guys with what's going on over there. And they're like, hey, and a lot of times you could be born here, ain't never been over nowhere else.
Never been.
And so a lot of that is that, how's it impacting you? Is it changing the way you think, where you feel, and how you react to stuff? And if that is the truth, then you need to talk to somebody professionally.
Professionally, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that. Nannette, is your knowledge will really, help people, listeners. Me, myself, I'm learning a lot from you too. This is always about learning. The best way of learning is learning from someone else. Mm-hmm. And, this is, we'll take this to practice for what you tell us today. And I'm sure most of the listeners will also take this and use it as a practice. Like, talk about it. Talk about these things. Mm-hmm. We do every Sunday. We have we come to the community center. We have a lunch and have a gathering, and we talk about different issues. And like last week, we talk about daycare, especially the people who live in this neighborhood, mothers. We had a conversation about how can we increase daycare so you guys can have access to other opportunities, like going to therapy or going to work. And those are the things, like hierarchy of life. There's things that we need to in place, like shelter, food. And I always look at it, it's like, if somebody is going through depression, I'm like, do you have a job?
Yeah.
Looking at the things that the basic needs are met, and then you can go from there.
Yeah.
So that's what.
And with the daycares and stuff, if you have enough mothers, can we, get together and utilize our time and help each other out?
Correct.
Like, hey, 2 or 3 of us will watch, so many kids for so many hours, and then one day, and then the next time it's your turn. So maybe doing some stuff like that, if you can do that, because that way you can have people able to have that hour of time, or if they need to go talk to somebody. But we can be our sisters' keepers as well as our brothers' keepers. Mm-hmm. And then just really making sure. So that's just some things that, you can think about, especially if you talking about that, you all are, coming from a country that is all about community.
Yes, and now you come here, everything falls.
And that's, and I understand that, because, in the African American race, with our culture, we usually have, it was always your faith, your family, and community.
It's important.
And that was the foundation.
Yes.
And then we broke a foundation.
It's broke, yeah.
It's broke, and we trying to dig ourselves back. But that foundation got cracked. And that's the thing about it, is trying to assimilate, trying to, thinking that over there is better than being over here, because all I was told that it's better on that side than this side.
Yeah.
But we did not know that we were the prize.
Correct.
So you have to understand that you are the prize, that you are, that, God made you uniquely you.
You, yes.
He made you uniquely you for a reason. He made, Somali folks for a reason. He made all of us for a reason. And be okay with your uniqueness. Love your uniqueness. Embrace your uniqueness. And don't try to stray away from that. I'm not saying that we don't collectively come together, because I think unity is the best, because it builds for a stronger foundation. But yet and still, don't ever think that you're not special. You are always special. You're unique. You're blessed. You're highly favored.
Thank you for those good words, Nannette. Someone who's really passionate about this work and, been in deep to this, work of social work and helping the communities. Nannette, what is your last intake as we're wrapping up the podcast? What is your last, your advice you will give it to our listeners and myself?
I just think just don't think you're selfish because you want better for yourself.
Okay.
I know we, mothers as fathers, as community people working in the community,
Mm-hmm.
it's like this says, you have to be able to have yourself on solid ground before you can hold anybody else up.
Wow. Fill up your cup before
Yeah.
you fill somebody else's
Yes.
cup.
Yeah, because you be filling up everybody and then you pass out.
Yeah.
So make sure you're not passing out. And if any time, that you need me to come and speak to anybody, because I do a lot of training and all of my training is free, just let me know.
We will, and to be honest, me as a community leader, when you mentioned that, when I started thinking of myself mentally, physically, and, spiritually, I'm performing much better.
Yeah.
And I'm telling everybody here, when you take care of yourself, you will perform much better. You will build more relationships, you build more programs, and you will see results.
Yeah, and we all go through some stuff.
Yeah, we all go through some stuff, but it's that resiliency.
Yeah, but we like I said, you have to plug yourself back up into the
Charger, yeah.
You charge it up, and then you have to release those toxins from your body.
Correct. Thank you so much, Nannette. This is not the last time you're going to be on this show. You may have more coming up in next year.
Okay.
We'll bring her back. You guys say in the comment if you want her back again.
Come
I'll
on,
bring her back.
You want me back.